On April 5, 1986, Diane Brodbeck, a 43-year-old woman, was reported missing by her family members. That same day, a prisoner who goes by the name of John Yout escaped from prison. At first, the authorities thought that these two cases were unrelated. However, as they dig deep into the investigation, they found out that Diane's may have aided John's escape from prison. What initially a missing person case now became a huge manhunt. So, how did these two meet? Diane lived in Pennsylvania and worked as a bank manager. But just like everybody else, she has her own hobbies and she has a huge interest in psychology. One of the activities she enjoyed was writing and sending letters to convicts who have no family. While it's quite an unusual hobby to have, she enjoyed doing it. She sends numerous letters to many convicted prisoners to different states, but she didn't feel any type of personal connection with these people. However, it was not until John Yout came into the picture in 1983. Her first encounter with him was through a close friend of hers. The friend had been doing the prison visitation to John, but when the friend stopped due to personal reason, Diane became a substitute and started visiting him instead. John's background was quite interesting. He was in prison for murder and was sentenced to life. He was well liked by other prisoners and was quite respectful despite the murder charge he did. In the beginning, Diane visited John just to understand his situation and how he ended up in prison. However, she visited him more often, and it's clear Diane became more in love with him. But there is a huge problem. Diane was already married. Chester, Diane's husband, was very well aware of her unusual hobbies. He knew about her sending letters to inmates, but he was not aware the romantic involvement between her and John. The correctional officer at the prison who oversees the visitation witnessed Diane and John and thought the two were in a relationship since they were kissing and hugging one another. Through the years, Diane and John kept sending letters back and forth, writing how much they love each other. Her commitment to John was so strong that when he was transferred to another facility that was 2 hours away from her house, she still continued to see him every week and not miss a visit. It's clear the two wanted to be together, and in February of 1985, during Valentine's Day, John wrote a letter to Diane which included a line, "Be my Valentine, love, forever. You are my heart. I hope more than anything that this is the last Valentine's Day that we will spend apart." Just by reading this, he's clearly implying that sometime near the future, he's planning to escape to be with her outside prison. On top of that, he knew using her would be his only way out. On April 8, 1986, John saw a golden opportunity for his escape plan. Since he had an excellent behavior in prison, this allowed him the privilege to work outdoor. At that day, the officer signed him and along with other prisoners to cut hays in the field outside the prison wall. Even though there was a supervisor overseeing the prisoners, John was slick enough to escape the vicinity without being noticed, and this was the last time he was seen. When Diane failed to come home, she was reported missing by her family. During this time, the police was looking into the people who was closest to John, and that happened to be Diane. So for the family to report her missing and John to be missing the same day raised a huge suspicion. It's clear to them that the cases are related to one another and it's just a one big manhunt case to find them. There were multiple clues they found during the investigation. The first one came from a prison officer. He stated that the day John escaped, he saw Diane driving near the prison vicinity and this was the last time she was seen. So it is possible that Diane gave John a ride once he escaped. Another tip was that they discovered a secret bank account Diane was hiding from her spouse, and in this account, she withdrew $7,500 weeks before she disappeared. It's clear she wanted to remove any trace of her before starting a new life with John. No digital footprint whatsoever. There's another clue they found in the investigation, and this one confused the authorities. Just a month later, on May 7, Diane's car was found in a motel parking lot just 30 minutes away from her house, and a duffel bag full of clothes and accessories found inside the trunk. Which, by the sound of it, just strange. Think about it. If they have no car, then how else would they be able to travel to far distance? It only makes sense to drive as far away as possible to avoid from the authorities. Unfortunately, despite the long search effort, they didn't find anything. So, what are the possible explanations to this? Given that John was a convicted murderer, the police suggested that John may have killed her since he may have viewed her as a liability in the future. They think that he feared that she would turn him in if they ever get into a fight. Also, given that Diane didn't contact her family anymore, could suggest that something terrible happened to her. They found it unusual for her to drop everything and leave like that. It was not until 2 years later when there's a huge breakthrough to the case. Given how captivating the whole situation is, it was featured on a TV show, and this was when a former co-worker of Diane recognized her. The co-worker contacted the show and told them that she may have found the missing woman. The caller further stated that Diane went by the name Mary Catherine Kerman. This was a huge breakthrough because the police used this information and reopened the case. After a few weeks of investigation, they were able to track down the two and found them living in Idaho. The authorities got their information from a car crash incident and a car registered under Katie. They also discovered that the two changed their social security numbers and got a new identity. Diane went by Mary Catherine Kerman and John by James Marvin Forsgren. When police arrested John, he looked completely different because he grew a beard and even wore contacts. After the arrest, the two were extradited to Pennsylvania, where John was put back in prison to serve the remaining of his life sentence, and Diane spent 2 years in prison for aiding his escape.